what's best about the book, I don't want anybody in this room to think that this book is about the history of hip-hop, because it could easily be mistaken as some, highbrow version of the history of hip-hop. I use a lot of hip-hop references in the book only to paint a timeline for the last 25 years, 30 years of culture, and I start the book with Run DMC holding up the Adidas at Madison Square Garden. And it's a very important moment because a German executive flew to New York to see why this thing called hip-hop started a sneaker that was not selling anywhere else but selling in the Northeast, how that happened. And his cultural curiosity helped give Run DMC an endorsement deal, and that was sort of the tipping point for the recognition of the cultural impact that hip-hop could make, okay? I come from Queens, New York, and grew up middle-class parents. And I delivered the newspaper as a paper boy, and I would do odd jobs. I always felt that my parents didn't have to buy me certain necessities. At the age of 15, I don't know why I felt this way, but I was very conscious that outside of paying for school and all of the things that I needed for school, that I should be able to cover the rest. I just felt like that. And it could be the West Indian in me. I don't know. I felt that way. And I got into the real estate business, and I was selling mortgages. And after selling mortgages, somebody told me that they knew a producer that worked with Kid and Play. And, at the time I was doing well in the real estate business, so I invested maybe $3,800, and I bought him equipment. We became partners. I bought him equipment. Because at that time, just getting access to equipment was the commodity. Like, if the beat was in your head, or the music was in your head, you had no way to get it out, because no one had access to equipment. I mean, equipment was just hard to get. So I bought him some equipment, we became partners, and through that process, Kid and Play heard the music, I became their road manager, and I was going on the road with them. But then the actual song that we did, and one of the things that we did very early on, ended up in my first big break, actually, of being heard, was the theme song to the Martin Lawrence television show. That song, yes. And that's why I learned publishing. I published the song, and it was perfect. I mean, we did fantastic. And when the show went to syndication, we made money. It was like a whole other thing. But doing that, and then I went and got hired by Sony, and I made the Nas album. Now, first I made the Nas album, and it had I Rule the World on it. It was this big thing. And then Sony offered me a consultant job, and they wanted to pay me nothing. I didn't take it. And then they offered me a really big job, and I took the job. And I went on my way, and I always took the record business very seriously. I never once felt like because it was the entertainment business that I should look at it any different than a mechanic would look at his craft. I never let those things blind me. The lights never blinded me. It just worked out that way. The big break came when I had known Will Smith. I was part of the Kid and Play crew, which was like the soft rap guys. And the soft rap guys had their own little clique. It was Kid and Play and Will Smith and a bunch of Young MC and other guys like that. And Will Smith got dropped. After Wu-Tang and Biggie and, DMX and everything that was happening around rap, around circa 96, Will Smith was over. But he had this movie coming out. He had made Bad Boys, and he had this movie coming out called Men in Black. And I signed him to Sony where I was, and we made Men in Black, and we sold 10 million albums. It was, you guys know what that is. And I became very interested in the fact that Ray-Ban sold 14 million pairs of those shades that he had on. And the curiosity of those shades is what eventually led me into the advertising business.
Smart.
And that's kind of how my career went. Always being culturally curious. So, in the book, you guys all have a lot of tough decisions to make, right? Like, are you doing what you're really passionate about, or are you doing what you're doing to make money? Because the dreams that you have attached to your life are going to come out of fulfilling your passions. They're not going to come out of just doing things to make money, because you get caught up in that. So when I left the record business to go into the advertising business at 29 years old, I made a very hard left. I took a gigantic reduction in salary to get into the advertising business. Because I had to learn the advertising business for 4 years before I started translation. The biggest thing that I see missing today is the next generation of entrepreneurs and executives. They want to duplicate the end result, but they don't want to duplicate the process. And unfortunately, you got to duplicate the process. There is no way out of understanding the process and going through the process to get to the thing that you want to do. And as soon as you realize that and accept that there's not a shortcut to it, there's going to be things that are going to happen that are lucky, and these lucky stories and things that kind of reveal themselves as shortcuts. But you got to be actually in the process for those things to happen. You just can't sit back and try to find the miracles that happen in somebody else's life and go, okay, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to wear a t-shirt and I'm going to be Mark Zuckerberg. I mean, it doesn't work that way. And that's the biggest gap. And I speak about a lot about that in the book. I speak about finding the comfort and discomfort, finding the pain and hard work, and finding the courage to follow your gut and bet on yourself. And a lot of the stories that I use in the book, when I talk and hold a mirror up to my own career, I'm very honest about those trials and tribulations that I've gone through to get here.
All right, let's give them a round of applause.